Hi there, this is Popo, I hope you'll fine. Welcome back to Matches Neura Tournament, Round 2. And as the Round 1 just finished, here are the results. So today we're going to review the two games played between Pouace and praseodymiumspike. So let's get started. So for this first game, Pouace gets the white pieces with the Aliens faction and praseodymiumspike gets the black pieces with the Angels faction. So a quick reminder of the factions. So the Aliens faction is a faction that allows you to move multiple pieces in one time, and the Angels faction is a faction that allows you to be invincible in some trade. Please remember that as praseodymiumspike is the Scarborough players, he's playing the other faction of Pouace. So there would be the same game on the other time, and then the role would be just switched. So forward to see that. The game starts with pawn to e4, with pawn to e5 and pawn to d4, striking the center, which is pretty aggressive, I said. We have a very passive defense from praseodymiumspike with pawn to d6, the Philidor defense somehow, with scoot to f3 putting pressure on the center, and now with pawn to d7 defending. So very, very passive here, but why not? We have Mech to e2 followed by Mech to e3. Please remember that when you play one Mech, or exactly one move, to move or capture, then you can play the second one up to 3 squares who are just moving. So Mech to e2 followed by Mech to e3, and now we have pawn to f6 attacking the f4 pawn, which is defended by the saucer to d3. So the setup is just building itself. We have a pawn to b6, and now we have scoot to d2, and as this is played on the sides, it allows the king to play another move on this turn, and now it decides to castle long. And this is at move 8 that Pouace already achieved its development. And I have to say that the setup is very nice. Maybe Pouace decided to train a little to get this nice setup, and I really like the way they are opening the game with the aliens. Let's see how it goes. Now we have Zealot to a6. Thanks to the gate, this Zealot can't be captured and is invincible. So here you have to do something with the saucer. At the same point, this X-rays the Mech, which is undefended, so you have to put something in the way. Putting the scout in the way could be a move. You can't really play on the pin, but getting the throne here, that's not that cool to get. So I can understand that that can be really much seen. So in the game we have pawn to c4, which is played by Pouace. No idea of threat or this. The king is completely open, but they bet on the fact that the angels would just not make it. So now we have pawn to d5, which is played. I mean, in this position, you should continue your development and try to strike and to get some kind of position, and be sure that the position would never be open for the aliens. But with this pawn to d5 move, the position changed completely. Because okay, the threat is that after captures here, okay, this is pinned, you can't capture, we'll see. But the problem is that there's an intermediate move that can be played, and this is pawn takes e5. And now where do you put the throne? If you decide to capture this, then there's captures, and now the aliens are up one pawn, and they even threat to get here and get some ugly attacks. Remember that when the saucer captures a piece, it can move another piece in the same turn. So it can go for deadly stuff. So where do you go? You can try to counter the take here, and this creates another fork. But the aliens can just simply ignore it and take. And if you capture here, I can take and slide the tripod here, and now it threats with concrete threats. So if I capture here, I can move the pawn on the same turn one square. This is the ability of the tripod. For example, Zealot to b7, tripod goes here, and now what do? If you decide to capture this with the shield, okay, this can be played because the shield is immune to the pawn, so it can't be captured. But now I can decide to capture with this, and now put the scout on e5. And this comes with a threat, because I can go here, and I threat, to capture this gate. So one way to defend that is just to play the shield to d8. And now I can play some deadly moves here, I guess. let's say, I can decide to... I want to be sure that I would take any risk, because I see a lot of moves. Maybe here, scoot to c6, with the king stay here, again attacks. And now you have to make a choice with this. So maybe you put the shield on c8, but now I can play pawn takes f7. And if the king takes, then I can take, let's say I can take this, and this comes with check. So what do you do here? So you have to spare the check, so maybe you decide to go here. But now I can take this, and now I just have to put this 1 square away, and I can put this 2 squares away, and now I get I threat a lot of stuff. I can capture this, I can capture this. I mean, you're just right dead. I'm up 16 points of material. You're not going anywhere. Let's see another line maybe. After this and this, maybe you can ignore and go here to capture this. Only problem is that now I can get here, still get the threats here, but I mean, seems like there's no activity. But bad news for you, I can get here and this is just checkmate. So in this position, if you decide to ignore that, and after this maybe you can play a pawn to f6. But I'm not sure that this is so much powerful, because I can take this and then put this, and this is check. You have to do something about this. So maybe you capture this way, but now let's see. I can capture this and move the scoot here. Now, excuse me, I have to move my king. You're forced to capture, and then I capture this, and I up 6 points of material. Maybe you were asking in the previous line, with this captures, and after this captures, would be possible to capture this? Not really, because now I captured this and I move this pawn, and after captures I can capture that, and I'm up material. But even more, I can decide to play this 1 square and give a check. And now once you decide to defend this, I can take 1 square away and just put this, and I'm again 6 points of material up. So in the position, we have pawn capture c4, which is a pretty good move to play, because now I don't have this kind of ugly moves, because now the Zealot can decide to go here, and I don't have right moves to attain the king. So in the game, to c3 is played, and this is a decent move, and now the front goes to g4. Now, that's pretty complicated for white to save the Mech pair, because the Mech are always powerful when they are in pair. If the pair is gone, then the Mech becomes stupid. So maybe you can try to play something like go here and go here, and bet on the fact that this fork will not work because there's this in the way. But then, I mean, there's this, and then maybe you move 1 square away, you get here. Seems pretty complicated for not a lot of stuff. This is a way to conserve the Mech pair, but yeah. Maybe the Zealot would move here to try to get a trade, so you're forced to get here, and then you get here. And you see, every time you move 1 square, you're forced to move the other one square, so very complicated to maneuver this way. So in this position, we have Mech capture c4, giving up the Mech pair, so it can be playable. Here, the best move to capture with this, and as the Zealot can't be captured directly in front or behind, you are forced to capture this. And after, let's say, captures, and slide this here, you still are in the point where, okay, the aliens might get some tricks, but I think this is a position that is perfectly playable here. So be just careful, and normally everything's going to be alright. So maybe you play with this, and now this is not that really possible because you're just going to capture here, so you have to wait a little before making some big mess over the board. So here in this position, we have Zealot to c5, which is played, and I guess this is not the right move to be played, because there are too much initiative here. This is X-raying this. Now the Mech pair is on the game. There's access to a lot of squares. Let me show you a line that is very cool. You can capture this with check. If you decide to capture, then I can decide to capture this, and then I can just slide this here. And now, where do you go with the king? If you go here, there's check, there's nothing to block the way, then you checkmated. If you go here, excuse me, if you decide to go here, then I can just go for a passive move and try to get something interesting on the way. I can decide to go here and try to get something. So, for example, if you decide to go here, I think I can just push this, and now this is a threat to checkmate, so you basically have to defend it. You can try to defend it with the shield, I guess. And now, what could I play here? Oh, you can't defend with the shield as I'm going to take this, so this is not something to be played, of course. So excuse me, let me get back into the line. After this and this, you have to defend with the gate. But seems like to be some kind of mating net, right? Because now there's captures here, and this is hard for the gate to move somewhere because now there's a threat. So for example, if you decide to move the gate here, then I can take here, and at the same time this is double check, and I move the king. So you'll be forced to move the king here, and now I can take here and go here, and this is again a double check. And I'm even assuming this is checkmate. There's nothing you can do about it. So see, this is very hard. And if you try to just ignore the position, then I can play this one time and this one time, and then this is direct threat here, this is direct threat here. You can't defend everything at once, and I mean, you're just right dead. So this is not something to be played. So in this position, we have Mech to d5 instead, and Mech to g5, threatening a lot of stuff. And now the shield goes to c8. So here you can try to directly ghost this, but sure, excuse me, I played a move. Sure, there's better things to be played here in this position. But I mean, you're already winning. Here, Pouace came with the best move for me in the position, which is pawn to e6. With pawn to e6, what are you gonna do? If you decide to save your throne, so let's say you're putting the throne here and try to survive, then I have bad news for you. I can take the throne and slide it, and this is check. So this is crisscross applesauce, you can't put anything in the way, so king to f8 is false. And now I can decide to put that here, move the Mech 1 square, and move the other Mech 1 square also. This is check. So you have to decide something to do. So now the king goes to g8. Now I can capture with this pawn. This comes with check. And now the king is forced to capture. This has to do something in the game. So I can play the scoot to g5 check. If you go here, this is a very simple mate. If you get there, now the king is forced to go on g6. And now the game can continue with the saucer goes back on f5. If you decide to go here, I can capture this, and this is checkmate. If you go here, I didn't study the line, but I'm sure there is an easy way to get a mate. So I mean, this seems to be a checkmate here, and yeah, everything is just defended perfectly well. So you're dead. So you're forced to castle here, and now happily Pouace collects the material, and the position continues. Now we have front takes f2 trying to get some counterplay here, and what's really cool about the front is that on the back rank it's invincible. So maybe it would be able to cause some mess when it goes here, gets back here, try to get here. Only problem is that the aliens just don't care of this. So I mean, some position that could be played here, I don't know, you can decide to take here and take that here, and then after this, I mean, you can decide to go here, and then you can just decide to take back the throne, and then threat this, and this piece is just right dead. So I don't know, maybe I don't have enough an idea of what you're doing. You're just up 6 points of material, another piece is gonna die in the process. So yeah, something to be played. But in the position we have Mech takes a8, we have front takes d1, and now this takes c5, and gets tempo with this. So this is a fork, you have to do something. If you decide to take here, then I'm going to take and put this, and this is checkmate. If you decide to take here, then I don't know what I'm going to do, but I have ideas. So Mech to... Oh, wait, there's another move to be played. Oh, I only move 1 square, so now I can move the Mech to h4. Oh my... A lot of things to do. Here, maybe it was better to play this here, because it can decide to just capture with the Zealot. And now the shield is still on the game. But I mean, why not? In the game, we have a pawn takes c5, and now a Mech takes e8, and now the Mech goes back to e7. So praseodymiumspike is even more losing. So now we have Zealot captures, but rather than capturing the Zealot, you can capture the Mech on f8. If you capture this, this piece is dead. So now the Zealot captures and the Mech captures, and you up 8 points of material, straight up winning the game. So after pawn to a6 and tripod to e1, even This piece can't do much in the game. I mean, this is pretty blocked. You don't have anything to do here in this game. You're going to lose it. So this is why in move 25 we have the resignation of praseodymiumspike, as there was nothing much to be done. Aliens are real beasts here. I wonder if one day we will have this incredible scenario when the aliens get completely crushed by some kind of tactics made by another faction. I wait for this time to see, because this faction seems unstoppable. Maybe too strong, I don't know. So we'll switch to game 2, and now basically we have the same faction but role reversed. So let's get to it. Okay, so now praseodymiumspike gets the white pieces with the Aliens faction, and Pouace gets the black pieces with the Angels faction, so they're gonna take their own medicine somehow. Let's see how it goes. Pawn to e4, pawn to e6, pawn to d4, pawn to d5, the French defense, and now we have the Mech variation, I guess, with this double Mech stuff. Why not? This is a little weird because that just hangs the pawn, so this is captured by Pouace, and now we're scoot to c3 trying to claim back the pawn. Now we're from to f6 defending, and now basically, what do you play in this position? You can decide to pin and give a check, why not? And after pawn takes c6, a way to continue the game maybe would be to go here, or maybe you want to get advantage of this. So maybe you take this, go here, so this has to be taken by this, then you take and you stay the king in place, and then the game continues basically. Even more, okay, the position is a little weird for these two pieces, but this is perfectly playable, and once, I don't know, the shield decides to go back, maybe from the beginning, then scoot to f3, or even more precise, scoot here and then you castle, because you gain a little time. So yeah, this was perfectly playable, but in this position we have Mech captures f6 and Mech to d3, which is a little weird, because after pawn takes f6, which is even weirder, we have a scoot takes e4 with king stays place. So here, I mean, maybe Pouace says that he won't castle short and castle long, and put the gate in the game. That would be incredible for an attack. So great, but at the same point, this Mech doesn't do a lot of stuff here. So we'll see how it develops, but I think this is perfectly playable. Zealot to g7 is played, very weird move. I wasn't thinking of this. I was thinking that you would play this and try to push here and try to put the gate and try to, I don't know, develop this here, develop then that, then trying to do this, open, I don't know. At the same point, the king, yeah, is little opened. This is why I wanted to catch with the shield, but anyways, this is played. So after Zealot to g7, scoot to f3, pawn to f5 already strikes. So now where do you put this scoot? The square c5 is tried, and now the aliens take time to short castle. Now the shield goes back to d5, and it seems it doesn't attack a thing, but remember that the shield is just invincible to pawns, so this piece is directly attacked. And as there are not good moves to be played, we have scoot to a4 and the king stays in place. So the idea, I guess, is to replace there. But now we have Zealot takes d4, so claiming back the pawn, and we have a scoot to c3 trying to get something. But after captures and captures, the angels are still up a pawn but don't have much activity like this. I mean, these two pieces, even these three pieces aren't playing. Here it can play later on, but what do you do? So throne to d7 is played, and now we have saucer to e2 trying to get something, and we have this very surprising short castle. I mean, I would never castle this way, or maybe I don't understand the position. I mean, you could get here and try to get this and then short castle. Even this looks very terrifying, but later on this is okay. I mean, once this move, maybe you move a pawn and then the game continues with this. I don't know. But yeah, short castle is something. I mean, if I'm the alien player, I would do everything I can to try to shift my pieces, try to shift this here, then here, I don't know, slide this here, and make a big attack. So we'll see how it goes. We have tripod to d1, and now a front to f6, which is invincible now. Mech to c4, attacking the shield goes back to d6, now the tripod gets to d4, getting another tempo. The gate goes to d8 to defend, and now we have tripod to h4, and this is very hard to play against this tripod. So only one defender, okay, defends the position, but hard to play. We have Zealot to d7, and now we have pawn to h3. I guess the idea is to prevent this from being moving, and yeah, this looks very scary because of this. But I mean, once this didn't have moved, there was no threat because you can't capture pawns. So I don't know. And also this good is here, but I think later on the attack he would have moved there, I guess. So in the game we have thrown to d5, which is played, and yeah, okay. It threats to capture here, I can understand the threat, but the aliens can just ignore it and play scoot to g5, and now the attack is getting closer and closer, and now there's a threat to capture here and try to get something. So we have a throne goes back to d4. Why? I think you should get back here. This is the best way, because here, okay, there's an attack directly on the saucer, but the saucer can decide to ignore and play saucer to f3. And now it threats to capture, and now what do? Do you think that you can push the pawn to save the situation? Not really, because now there's capture with this, and this is check. And now after the king decides to run here, then you capture with this, and you push this pawn. And yeah, the position gets trickier and trickier. And once, let's say, this pawn decides to move here, then you can put the saucer on the game, and now basically you can resign, because there's nothing much to be done here. So here in this position, we have pawn goes back to g6, threatening the tripod, but now we have saucer to h5, completely ignoring the threat. Why? Because if you capture this, then check, go here and mate. So you have to do something against that. So something that could be played in the position would be a throne to f8, trying to defend here. The problem is that that's not that simple to be played, because you can at any point slide this here. So I don't know. I want to be sure that I get a good line here. So for example, if I go here, then maybe I would get some kind of threats, and or try to, I don't know. Hard, because at the same point I want to take here and move something else, but yeah, that's kind of hard. So maybe this was the move to be played in the defense, I don't know, maybe I missed some line. But in the game we have king to f8, and I think this is not the move to be played, because you're going to get scoot to h7 with check. And now this is a devastating position. For example, if king to g8, then you slide this and you put the king in place. Now you have to run, because if you go here, you're going to be checkmated later on. So I mean, maybe you run here, then I can take that with this. This is check, and after let's say the king runs here, you go here, and then what are you gonna do to prevent this move from happening here? There is no way. So you try to get some escape square for the king. Only problem is that now you have this double check up there, and after the king moves, then you get checkmated just right there. And this would be even more humiliating, that you could have get tripod in the way, because this is covered this way. So a very big way to go. So let's try to cover another line. If you decide to go immediately here, maybe there could be some kind of saucer to g5 move, and then you're forced to go here, then you go here with check, and now what do? If you decide to go here, then there's capture here, and now we go on the same line when you try to escape. Can you try maybe the shield to c5? I don't think so, because now there's discovered check. Of course, if you go here, you're checkmated. So now you have to find a way to survive this, and I guess you don't have one. Yeah, I guess you're straight up dead here in this position. So after this, you're dead. Okay, so is there another way you can try to survive? What happens if you play... did I cover this line? I don't know. Maybe not. So let's try to cover this line. Maybe we have this, and this stays in place. King move here, and now let's get this here. Okay, so this is not captured yet, so maybe they have a chance to survive this position, but that's not easy. Because if you try to put the gate, for example, another solution to try to survive this, only problem is that now I get a check here, and this is a double check. So you have to do something. Excuse me, I have to move my king. And now after this, what can I do? I guess I can take this with check, and now I can give it just a random check. And after this seems to move, then I can put this here and threat again some discoveries. And I'm still winning the game actually, and you don't have a lot of counterattacks here. I'm threatening to take this with check. I mean, hard to survive this. So in the game we have rather Sausage takes h7, which is passive, and it allows the throne to go to e5 and defend this square. And somehow, because you can't take the throne, you don't remove the defender. But we have Sausage to h8 with check. Now the king is forced to get back on h7, and now there's a bunch of stuff that you can do here. So in the game, there's Sausage takes e5. I don't know if I would capture it immediately. I wasn't in a hurry for this. Maybe something that could be tried would be... Oh, okay, you're threatened here, actually, I didn't see. Excuse me. Yeah, so you're in a hurry. Yes, this is why this is sad for me in this position to have taken with the Salsa. But anyways, we have in the game Saucer takes e5, and now the most logical move is to play the scoot here to defend, and now you'll be able to be sure that you would never get any fork with this kind of pawn. Because in the game what happened is that they defended with the tripod to e1, and now see that there's a fork. So after shield captures and tripod recaptures, you can push that on any time. So Presidium and Pouace decided to first push the pawn on b5 to try to reroute the Mech, so Mech goes back to d3, and now pawn to f6. Of course, you can try to survive this with tripod to h7, and now after king to d6, I mean, this looks very scary if you stay in the place like this. I wouldn't think that I'm safe here, but yeah, that's something to be played to be sure that the fork is maintained, but I would not play this personally. So in the game, king to d6 is played, we have scoot to f7 check, king to c7, and now you could decide to put the tripod back, but as you're up 3 points of material with captures, and the king moves captures, and now the scoop decides to go back, and you get the advantage, and now the king is ready to go for the endgame. Pawn to e4 kicks the Mech on e2, so maybe it tries to control a lot these two diagonals, which are very cool. Have pawn to c5, a scoot to e5, trying to exchange a little more, gate to d8, defending the position, so very interesting. Pawn to g4, trying to get a tripod, and now this is a game of pawns. You see that now the pawns are marching forward, and somehow this is very hard to stop the pawn from promoting. Here we have something very tricky after this kind of thing, because what do you do in this position? Because now we have Zealot to d5, and it threats to capture and try with 3 pawns again 2. This is hard to defend. A way that you could defend is to play pawn to c4. If you decide to capture with the Zealot, you capture, and then this is this. If the pawn now captures, you just play a4. And what's cool is that these pawns defend the square, so the king never make it. So very cool. Let's say another line, if you decide to ignore that, then you can just capture that. And the pawns aren't enough, because this square is defended here. And now this is going to make some new stuff here. So later on you can try to get some checks, trying to get for the pawns. Even this pawn chains looks terrifying, but you can rather play against for me. Okay. So with Zealot to d5 we have pawn to a3, and now we have Zealot to b3, which is a pretty powerful move. Because if you decide to capture, then you have pawn captures here, and now the pawn is marching forward, so you have to try to stop it this way. And now maybe even that can take time, the king can try to slide later. So maybe I'm a little quick here, so maybe just playing like this, taking its time and letting the king be in the position and try to snap this. Maybe that would be a way to play against that. So you would really be winning the position, even that there's these two pieces that are still playing. So king to d2 is played, now we have pawn to b4, and okay, much trouble. After pawn takes c4 we have pawn captures. I mean, if you capture, then there's just capture and the pawns are marching forward. So pawn takes c4, pawn takes c3, pawn takes b3, pawn takes a2, and a gate joins the game. But at the same point, the tripod is not done. After gate to a2 check, king to e3, gate to f3 check, king to f2, and king to a5. Now you can take the tripod with the tripod and match in the pawn. So now a new tripod is going to join the game, and after a gate to c3 trying to remove the pawn, now we have tripod to f8, and basically he wants to capture here, he wants to capture there, and just march forward with the new pieces and try to get this in the game. And I mean, this is very hard to play in this position. So this is on the move 67 that Pouace decides to resign the game, as there was nothing much to be done. Islands are real beasts in this tournament. I really wait for the time that some player would be able to crush the aliens with some kind of very nice tactics or positioning stuff or activity stuff, I don't know. So waiting forward to see this, we're going to see each other for a new video next time. See you then. Bye.